So before going ahead, before going ahead with the Docker, let's understand what is container. And before going ahead with container, let's understand some issues. Uh, yeah, let's understand some issues. So imagine you are a developer, okay, and you
Mm,
build something on Mac machine. You are a developer and you build something in the Mac machine. And what happened? You transfer your project, whatever the project you have built in the Mac, you transfer to the people who is working on Linux operating system. So you said to your friend, hey, I have built something. Would you like to check? And you send your project to this person. Okay. And this person, when run on her system, she was unable to run the project. Now, why this happened? Because for the project, the version that you have used for the PostgreSQL is 9.3, Redis 5.0. And the one that she is having, she also need to have the same version of your project, but she might be having some different version. That's one of the thing because of which your project got failed. Plus, your project could be based on the Mac operating system, and she has Linux operating system or Windows operating system, because of which the project did not run. So this is general scenario. So if I share you something which I built and you want to run on your system, first of all you need to upgrade these tools, right? Which should be
mm.
compatible to the project. Along with that, is it something that's system dependent? That also happen with the project. Means if it is built on Mac, it will run on Mac only.
Mm.
So the issues could be installation process is different. The way you install and the way she install, the process is very different on each OS environment. And many steps where something could go wrong because you are doing manually, right? When you try to
Mm.
match the version, you try to do things manually. And there's a chance that things could go wrong. But after the container comes into the picture, so container job is like whatever you want, like whatever the your project requirement is, it will install everything. Okay, you keep every detail in a container and give this container to the person. So the benefit of having a container, it is isolated environment. It has nothing to do with the system that you are working on. Got it? So if
Yeah.
you are working on Windows, if you are working on Mac, if you are working on Linux, the container will detach it from the system that you're working on. So it builds its own environment and you give the instruction what should be kept in this two environment, in this environment. So own
So
isolated environment. Yeah, go ahead.
the container, is that like, I don't understand about the container. Is
Mhm.
that like a storage? Is that like a database, or is just like a tools?
It's a
Like,
storage for your
okay.
application. Okay,
So
it
what
just
does that do?
imagine it's a pizza box where your pizza is
Okay.
getting, pizza is the main part, box is the
Mm.
container. So until you open the box, until you run the container, your application will remain inside.
So can I put in the pizza box like three slide of pizza, two slide of chicken, and three side of
Yep.
fish?
Yes.
Okay.
But all this should belong to a single app. Okay. It's not like two, three app you compile together in a single container. If you need
Okay.
chicken pizza will come in chicken box. Veg pizza will come in veg box. It's like that. So
So
it's
each
like
each
hmm,
container should be different, or each
based on the application, container will be different. If you have two application,
okay.
one that shows the weather report and one that shows the live broadcast of a football match, then for that two different container would required. Even for you also, you require two different container. You cannot have two different things on a single container. It will make the things messy, isn't it?
So like, if you can give me just an example with the different application.
Yeah, so the one weather app, suppose the application that shows the weather. Okay. You
Okay.
build it with what? You build it with Python, right? Imagine you build it with Python. So what do you want? You want to store that Python application in one container, and then you can send that container to any person, and that person will just run that container, and your application will get installed on their system or run on their system. That is one of the example. If it is a broadcast application app, again, same thing. You clump together all the libraries, dependencies, everything that required,
Mm,
put everything in that container and send it to the person who needs it. The person will just run it, need not to install anything. You do not have to install anything. You just need to have Docker in your system. That's it.
mm,
If you have Docker, you can run the container, and then it's just like you need to have the pizza delivery
mm.
application from which you are ordering the pizza. Got it?
Okay.
Okay. Things
Yeah.
will get more and more clear. So that is
Mm,
known as actually the container. Okay. One command to install the app. You just do Docker run whatever the application name is. That's it. And your application will start running. Now let's see the definition of container. So container is a way to package the application with all the necessary dependency and configuration. Okay, just like the container of ship, it stores what? It stores all the essential things of a particular brand, isn't it? And
yes.
if I have to export it, I'll just export the container, not the things which is inside it individually. So
Mm,
portable artifacts easily shared and moved around. So you can easily share and move
mm,
and make deployment and development more efficient. Understood?
mhm,
Where do containers live? Some storage required, isn't it?
mm.
Like the container which you're shipping, how will the other person, will you send the container directly to the other person? No, you put the container on a central hub, just like this ships. You require a ship to transfer this container from one country to another country, right? So in the same
Mm.
way, your container need to be stored somewhere so that other people can come and take it from there, right?
Yes.
So where should it store? For example, where do you store your source code?
In AWS
Nope.
database or maybe.
No,
Uh,
no, not in AWS.
uh,
We studied now. Where do we store our source code? Repositories. From where you can share, you can get my repository. You can share your repository.
in the Docker.
Nope. GitHub. We studied
Oh,
now.
yes.
When I say
Yes. Yes.
source code, it means the application code.
Yes.
So how do we share those code? You just go to the GitHub.
Mm.
I'll go here. I'll type. So GitHub is what? It's a
This
place
is.
where you store your code, right?
Mm.
In the same way, to store the containers, we have a place, and that place is known as Docker Hub. Just like GitHub is there to store your source code, Docker Hub is there to store your container.
I got it now. Okay.
Got it? Now let me show
Yes.
you how the containers in Docker Hub looks like. So one thing you can do, you can just go and create your own account in this one. Totally free, not a single charge they will ask you. Okay, I'll just do the continue. See, so this is my Docker Hub created, and these many application I have hosted since past 11 months.
Okay.
Okay, but you are not the only one. Everyone around the world, even the big giant companies, also uses
Mm.
this one to build their code and store it. For example, Jenkins. See, you can see Jenkins. So you can install Jenkins directly from here. Okay.
Mm,
Any app you tell me the name, you will find their Docker container in this place. But remember, it is not container yet, and these are images. We'll come to that. What is the difference between container and images? But so far,
mm,
to store your Docker container, this is the place. Okay. I'll correct this statement in after a couple of slides. Okay. But for now,
okay.
we have understood the Docker container, and Docker container is stored in your Docker
Mm,
hub. And you can make it private or public, whatever you wish. If you want to show to the world, make it public. If you want to keep it to yourself and only those people who you give the access, they can access it, then make it private.
okay.
Okay. Now application deployment. Let's see how does this application get deployed. Now see, these are the developers and they are having some files, okay, jar file and some database, okay, and this is the operation team. How will the operation team know what are the things to be packed for the application, right? So previously
Mm,
what happened before container comes in the picture, developer used to send jar file plus a written text file how to install the application, because even before customer get the application, QA test the application, right? And QA doesn't know how to install the application. So you will write a script which will contain the steps to install the application. Like you require a couple of dependencies, connect with the backend, connect with the database, right? So developer earlier she used to write a script and send it to the operation team. Operation team follows the script and install the application into their machine. This used to happen before container. Now, what other issues could go wrong? Configuration on the server needed, of course. Dependency version conflict. Suppose developer said install the Panda 3.5 and this person installed Panda 3.4. There is a chance that this person does not mention the version, directly says install the Panda, and he installed the Panda 4.0 and he installed the Panda 4.5. Again, there is a
mm,
dependency issue, and because of the and application crash, right? So this used to
okay.
happen before container. Also, textual guide to the deployment misunderstanding. There's a chance that both of you are from the different region. There's a chance that misunderstanding could take place. So these things container made easy. So what developer has to do? Developer has nothing to do. Whatever developer wanted to write, okay, that these things are the required to run the application. So they will create a file for that one. And that file is known as a Docker file. Okay, so Docker file will contain the steps to install the application. Got it? It might be overwhelmed, but don't worry. Just
Mm,
understand that instead of giving a simple script, they are giving a Docker file. And what Docker file consists? It consists all the dependencies, how to install and everything, and where to install as well. So with this help, no environment configuration is required needed on the server.
mm.
Okay. So you need not to configure the server. You just take the container and run it on your application, and the application automatically start running.
So in the real job, when we working, suppose like as uh, like application test or something like, I don't know what positions the
Mm,
DevOps do. So like if someone hiring me, do I
mhm.
need to apply? I mean, take all the applications and install, or they already installed? I have just like,
You just have to run the Docker file.
okay,
That's it.
I
They will
don't need
provide
to.
you that Docker file.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
You just have to run the Docker file and convert into first Docker file, convert into image, and that image convert into the container.
Okay.
So,
So
but
what is
sometimes
jar? Like
mm,
jar file?
jar file. So jar
Yeah.
file is again a binary file, just like batch file. For Java, it is jar file.
And JSON? What's JSON?
Yeah, JSON is a file which in which the code is written in the form of key and value pair.
Okay.
So we'll show you JSON, YAML, everything. Good.
Okay.
Now see what the container actually contain. The first and the foremost thing, container is made from the image. Now what is this image? Let's see that. Mostly Linux based images because of this small size. Okay. See what happened? The container contains couple of layers, and each layer is a each image you can consider or kind of a process to do. When I say Alpine 3.0, it means it's a image of Linux because Alpine is a Linux one. You can even mention Ubuntu. So that will become the base layer on which your application will run. So if I'm running my application is of Linux, but I want to run on Windows. So I need a base foundation of Linux on which my application will run, not the Windows, because Windows on my application cannot run. So what container does? So container is made from the image. Okay. Image, there are a lot of this one has steps or the layer you can say in which each layer mentions the operating system. Okay, it might be too much of talking. Did you get anything?
Yes.
Okay, let me see if there is any graphical animation. GIF to create. Hmm. This is the developer who writes his Python code file. Okay.
Mm,
Along with that code file, it includes a lot of dependencies and all. So everything about your application, what required, what not required, you will mention in a file. That is known as a Docker file. Okay.
mm,
Docker file will contain, and this is how Docker file looks. This is a Docker file from run work directory. We'll come to all of these things. Okay. Need not to worry.
mm.
Just see that Docker, for every application, you need to create a Docker file.
Mm.
Docker file will then build into image, convert it into image. So whatever you mention in the Docker file, every step will convert into an image. These images are actually stored in the Docker Hub. Okay. So what you are seeing
Oh,
over here, it's not a container, it's an image.
so it's like a example. I can give you the example of the OSI layers. So they convert the binaries to package, and then
Correct. You can
so,
think in that way. So here
yeah.
images are then converted into container. But
Okay.
when it comes to give your application to someone, you actually give the image. So when you send the image, they run that image in their application and then in their operating system, and then that image automatically convert into container.
Okay.
So this is how it looks like. When you have this Docker file, with this Docker file, I will create what? I will create image. And then where will I store this image? In the registry, Docker registry, or Docker hub. Okay. And from there, we will create the
Mm,
container. So the basic building block is the Docker file. Docker file is responsible for creating the Docker. Docker file and command Docker file first convert into image and then convert into container.
mm,
And the only thing that is stored in the registry, like the Docker hub, is only the image. Push and pull. You send the image, you pull the image. That is the two
mm,
things you do. Okay. And then once you pull the image, run the image, and it will convert into a container. So the benefit of having a container, you can run it, stop it, remove it, whatever you want to do it. But this is independent of the system that you are using. Even if you're using Mac, you can use it on a Linux operating system. If you're using Windows, you can run your application on Mac operating system. Got it?
mm.
So there is a difference between Docker image and Docker container. Docker image is the actual package which holds the information about how to install the application, right?
Mm.
So Docker image is not in the running state, it always in the stop state because your application is inside the Docker image. So if you want to run your application through this image, first you need to convert this image to container. And the container is the one that run in the environment which you have created. Any confusion, any understanding issue?
No, I'm just thinking like, no, that's fine.
Okay. So difference between image and container. We already seen image is a non-running application. Your application does not run in image. Image is used to transport your application. But when it comes to run the application, you require the container. So you need to have the image will convert into the container and you run your application. So container is a running environment for image. Unless you
Mm,
run the image, container will not form. Then your virtual file system is basically you need not to have this specific files, hard-coded
mm,
files. Okay, everything is going to be virtual. Port binding will come to this one. So port binding basically says that if any application is running on 5000 port and you want to run your application on 2000 or 3000 port, so with port
mm,
binding, you can do it. You can bind your application from 4000 to 2000, 3000 port number, whatever you want.
mm.
So see, your application wants to talk to your hardware. That's the main purpose. In between talking of software to hardware, kernel comes into the picture. If you do not have kernel, you won't be able to communicate with the other servers or other services. Understood?
Yes.
Just like Docker, there is a VMware, which basically create a virtual environment for you.
So what is OS kernel?
What?
Kernel, or like the layer one, the one OS
Kernel.
kernel and
So
hardware.
kernel is the one that talks between hardware and software to hardware. So when you remove the Apple top part, what happens? You basically, I'm saying, so kernel is just something that connects you between the application to the hardware. So OS kernel means if I'm using Linux, suppose my application run on Linux. So what happened? Linux kernel will get created in your system, virtual one, not the real one. Got it?
No. Hmm.
So see, this is the two difference between the VM and Docker. VM actually create kernel. I'll show you. I want to run one Linux application in my system. So I don't have Linux environment. So what I will do, I'll go to VirtualBox or download the Linux, or you go to AWS and download the Ubuntu, right?
Mm.
But you are going to use other kernel. That is when you are downloading any other operating system, you are using the kernel and then you are running the application. But in case of Docker, I'm even if I'm having Linux now, then also don't need this Linux operating system. I can easily run in Windows operating system. That is one of the huge benefit of using the Docker than VMware.
Mm.
So if you see, size of the Docker is much smaller, first thing. Then speed Docker container starts and run much faster than any other. And then compatibility. VM of any operating system can run on any operating system host. Basically says Docker can run on any operating system. Okay,
Okay.
so it is compatible. It is size. Docker image is much more smaller, and then speed is also very high. Compatible is
Okay.
having the speed and the size beneficiation too.
Is the Docker is like Azure or AWS services?
It's either of none. It's none of it.
Okay.
Okay, Azure and AWS provide thousands of services. In which one of these services could be the type like the Docker or the Kubernetes, kind of, but they are not the actual Docker, neither the actual container. Okay. To create a Docker, to create your application into a container, you require a Docker file, and that Docker file would get converted into the Docker image using some command. When you unveil that Docker image, then you get the container, and inside that container, your application will be there.
Mm.
And let's understand the architecture, how Docker actually works. So see, Docker is having couple of commands: Docker build, Docker pull, Docker run. Docker build is used to create Docker image of your application. Docker pull is to pull the command or pull the Docker file from the Docker hub. And Docker run is to convert your image into container. Got it? These are three
Mm.
small things. Now, whenever you put any command, the command request first go to the Docker daemon. You can also say this is the brain of the Docker. This is the one that
Mm.
decides whether the request to be taken forward or should be stopped right over there.
Mm.
Okay.
They will analyze it.
Yeah. So Docker daemon is the brain of the Docker, you can say.
Mm.
So when I do the Docker build, which means I'm going to build an image, the Docker daemon will take my request and then convert into image.
So how you create the image? So suppose like by coding or by just deploying some
You
kind
need
of
a
file.
Docker file to
Okay.
create an image. What is the
Okay, so you are
information that Docker
deploying.
file will having? The information related to your application.
Okay, got it now. Yeah.
Okay. So once I have a Docker file, I'll convert into the Docker image using the Docker build command. Okay. If people would have typed this in Docker pull, Docker daemon will understand that they are not asking to build the image, they are asking to pull the image. So if the then the request first go to the Docker registry, basically the Docker hub, and checks whether the image exists or not. If the images exist, then it will pull the image from there
So,
and put it in your image section. Yes.
okay. So I have a question. Let me,
Mm-hmm.
so with this diagram, so
Mm-hmm.
like the architecture or diagram, so if you can just explain me in a few words, like in the real world, like as DevOps
Yeah,
engineer,
yeah, I'm telling you in the real world.
yeah, yeah. So what you gonna do, like
See,
this, like how?
whenever if you'll be having a manager too in the future. So if your
Mm,
manager when says that bring me the file, okay, your brain here you are the Docker daemon, okay. The one command who is giving is your boss. So your boss says, give me the file. So what you will do? Your brain will tell, first check the what are the places that you have stored the file, right?
mm,
So you quickly jump to uh, the area where all the books and the copies are stored. That is the Docker daemon. And
mhm,
then based on the code, they wanted what? They wanted to pull a image. So this is a symbol of Ubuntu, would get pulled to this to instance, or the would get pulled to the Docker server. Okay, just imagine. You will understand this architecture later on too. Okay, so no need to bother about it. Just see if you are asking something and it is not available in your own brain, then you will take it from the other registry places, bring it from there, and then put it in the container. When I do the Docker run basically go and check whether the file is available or not. If the file is not available, then they will try to impress the person. If the file is already available, then they simply go and create the image out of it or run the container. So no need to bother. This is how the things look like in a very simple way. Docker file first get converted into Docker image first get converted into Docker container. Got it?
yes,
So tell me which of these three would get stored in the Docker hub?
the Docker image,
Docker image, correct. So Docker image
and
is the
then
one.
Docker image will go to store in the container.
No, no. Docker
Mm,
image, you have to pull the Docker image locally in your machine and run this image.
okay,
Then this image will get converted into Docker container. Okay.
okay, okay.
Now, what do you need to build a Docker image? What do you need?
Uh, I need the Docker file.
Yep. So recently in one of my interviews, I've been asked that can you create a Docker file? This
Mm,
is the application, or they may give you a Docker file and they'll ask you to correct this Docker file. What is wrong in this Docker file? Or they may give you a Docker file and then they'll ask you to convert into image and then convert into container.
mm.
So these couple of questions they can definitely ask with the Docker. First questions. Now let's see how Docker file looks like. But before going ahead with the Docker file and all, let's go and install the Docker.
So can you go back the one like one other? Oh,
Mhm.
so the slides,
Yeah, yeah.
the the one with the architecture. Yes. So like the registry, what is like these?
Registry is a
Uh,
Docker hub where your Docker images are stored.
so these all like the images, or it's just different tools, or what is like the registry?
So registry main job is to store the image of the application. That's it,
Okay.
nothing else. Just like your Docker Hub stores the source code repository and does nothing. Similarly, registry stores the images. Okay.
Okay.
If anyone run the command docker run, so what happened? Docker daemon will check locally, do you have the image? Then only it will convert it into the container. Na?
Mm,
So what Docker checks? No, you don't have that. Suppose I'm typing this one. Nginx is not present over here. So I wrote nginx, docker run nginx. Now docker daemon go and check into the local images section. Do you have nginx? No. Docker daemon find out that you don't have nginx in your system. So Docker daemon will automatically go to the registry and pull the nginx from there and then run it as a container.
okay.
Okay. So that's how registry works. So these are the two Python and one web app Docker file. Okay. We'll discuss more on this one, Docker file, in our next class. That's how it looks like. Okay. It starts from here. It starts from here.
Mm,
Okay. From working directory, copy this, copy, then after copy, run that part. Once you copy
mm,
into the main server, run the application.
mm,
Simply for the web app also, there is one. Now see how both of both of it get detached from the your system. If you see from Python this, and here if you see from Alpine this one, these are the two web servers. Okay, Python is not a web server, but this one is a web server. So the
mm,
job of web server is to run your web application. So the
mm,
moment you type from, it automatically detach your application from the system itself. If I'm writing Python 3.9 Slim, so what it will do, it will install the Python 3.9 Slim in your Docker environment to run your application.
mm. It
Okay.
is like I would say it's like a mailbox driver. So I mean, you can just give like three, four kind of different mails, and they will bring or drop in the box to the same person box. So you
Yeah,
know what I
you can
mean?
consider that one.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the next class, we'll do a small project from end to end. We'll take one application, we'll create a web Docker file of that application. Then
Mm,
from that Docker file, we'll create a Docker image of that application. We'll keep that Docker image, push the Docker image to our Docker repository, basically the Docker hub. Okay. Here we will push our image. And then we will take the image from there and run it as a container in our system. So even you can also take that image and run in your system. So end to end we will take the file, we will package it, we will write the Docker file. Docker file required little bit more time.
mm-hmm,
Okay. So we'll have a detailed discussion when we'll create our own Docker file. So every application has its own Docker file. Okay. Because for Python dependency would be different from the C++ application file. right? Every file is being different from the other one.
Hmm.
So we'll look into that one too. For now, is there anything that you have not understood?
No, I think I understood. So we will install in the next class. So today we studied like the theory,
Yep. We
the
just try to
slide.
get the feel of, so see what I'm having.
Okay.
So after this class, after once we're done with the Docker, what you will be able to understand, all the Docker interview questions I have created. Okay. About 18 questions here, and I have scenario based questions too. Okay. These are the Docker files. So all the possible questions from an interview that could ask from a Docker, I have all the questions ready. So after
Yeah,
this
I mean,
class, you will be
yeah,
able to, answer all these things.
yeah, of course. So I appreciate that. So because this is gonna be very ये वो अच्छा होगा कि हम
Hmm.
लोग जो भी tools और services पढ़ेंगे उसके question और
Interview
scenario
questions. Yeah.
yeah, it will help a lot.
Yep. And then we'll go deep dive once we'll done that one. And then we'll look into the Docker network. Okay. We'll look into the Docker volume, the little bit more advanced command, like 2, 3 year, 3, 4 year experience people that they are having. We'll look into those commands too. So it will be super
Okay,
easy. Okay. You will definitely understand each and every core part of it. Okay.
okay.
So just revise today's class. Okay. Whatever happened. And then in the next class, we'll do everything from installation till
Y-
packaging and everything.
Yeah, so can you send me only the one I cannot get confused the slides of the the Dockers.
This slide you want?
Yeah, I mean all these the slides, the notes, so I can read or
Okay, I'll
study.
convert this into PPT. Sorry, not
Yeah,
PPT,
PDF. Yeah,
PDF.
yeah. So you know why? Because this will clear all
Yeah,
steps.
yeah,
I can.
definitely.
So like theoretical step, they will clear all for that. So and also, Mr. Akash, I need
Mm-hmm.
the we study. I don't have because you send me like just couple slides of that. The GitHub and the Jenkins slides. Just convert to PDF. You can send me that one as well.
Oh, sure, sure. I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'll do that one.
yeah, because I have each days or each class folder, and I will
Mm-hmm.
keep there and I will study. I'm studying, but I will just make sure.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. PPTM. Okay, after this class, I'll send you. I need to change the extension.
So what does that make the when you change the extension? Eh,
See, PowerPoint is having two extension, PPTM and PPTX. So
Oh,
both will be okay. PowerPoint file.
it's open already,
No,
maybe.
no, it's not open. Because the file extension is here, make sure. So it will open
So when you close the PowerPoint here, so you may open in your
no,
address
the
bar.
extension that this PowerPoint work is different from the extension. No worries, I'll send you as PPT. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, not that. I'll share you as PPT. Okay, I'll share you after this class on my WhatsApp. And yeah, we have a lot of things to discuss, but we'll keep it till here. Couple of things that I wanted to tell you is to mastery and make a
Mm,
proof out of it is that
okay.
you require a certification. you required only three certification. First CKA, second is the AWS Cloud Practitioner, and third one is the, if you want, you can go for Terraform certification. These three certification
Mm,
is enough to land you. Even this single CKA is
mm.
standalone is have the capacity to land you that any good job, Kubernetes job.
So is that
So
certification going to be too tough or
it is tough.
okay?
I'll try to deep dive. Okay. Sometime it is in the discount, so look for the discount. Okay, you will get the cup. First, we'll cover this one, and then if I find any discount coupon, generally it comes in $200 or $300. It costs. I know it's a bit heavy, but even for me also. But once you
Yeah.
done it, na, this certification itself make you land in a good profile job.
Is that like a renewal every 3 years or a year?
I don't think it has 2 to 3 years of, but that doesn't affect it at all. 3 or 4
Okay.
years, it's having the time period. And before
Okay.
that, once you mention in your resume that you are CKA certified,
Okay.
people will be fight for you.
Okay. I love that.
It's
Yeah.
like, no, I need this client, this, yeah. So we'll discuss more on this one. I'll try
Okay.
to cover as much its syllabus as possible in our Kubernetes class. Okay.
Okay, that's fine. And and
Mm.
and last thing, what we do like Amazon AWS.
Yeah,
So
we'll come to that one. Right now, if I'll tell
okay.
you, you might not get it. Same like the
Okay.
Kubernetes one. Once you understand
Yes.
their importance, then you can correlate with it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I totally understood. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, then I'll stop sharing over here.